America's sweetheart Blake Lively has spent years carefully crafting the perfect image, devoted mother, picture-perfect wife, and Hollywood's golden girl. But ever since the drama began unfolding months ago, Candace Owens has been meticulously investigating to uncover what's really happening behind the scenes.
That Blake Lively has told people that there were multiple reasons that Justin Baldoni made her feel uncomfortable. It's a feminist buzzword. Uncomfortable on set. Blake beefing with her co-stars is a very common thing. And this is it. It's whiny, it's bratty, and it needs to end. Well, if it isn't the consequences of my—
The revelations Candace has uncovered have apparently left Blake trembling. As the curtain gets pulled back, these explosive findings could change everything we thought we knew about one of Hollywood's most beloved actresses.
I've not seen a case so open and shut in my life, and the more that I read and the more details that I get into, because I've been working on my timeline, I'm just shocked at how many lies were told.
Blake Lively has always been Hollywood's darling, graceful, charming, and seemingly untouchable. But Candace Owens has just exposed a story that could shatter that carefully constructed facade. While the public was still trying to piece together swirling rumors, Candace discovered something far more calculated brewing beneath the surface. Before this scandal even made headlines in the New York Times, Blake was already orchestrating moves behind closed doors.
We may have cracked the mystery, or at least we established a very crucial part of the puzzle, which I am told by Taylor Swift's team, or I guess not by her team, but like Taylor Swift's team tried to bury what I'm about to show you.
The official narrative they attempted to sell the public wasn't merely about Blake reacting to disrespect. According to Candace's investigation, this was a strategically planned campaign targeting Justin Baldoni from the very beginning. Candace has meticulously pieced together a timeline that, now revealed in its entirety, leaves nowhere to hide.
There is proof that the New York Times began working on the article even earlier, potentially back in October of 2024. So we had—
Just when Blake thought she had everything under control, the receipts have emerged to tell a very different story, reportedly leaving her in a state of panic. Her team is working overtime attempting to shift the narrative away from what they don't want the public discussing: her power plays, the alleged shadowy backdoor dealings, and how she supposedly maneuvered her way into Justin Baldoni's project. They're desperately trying to maintain her image as the victim.
Blake Lively's PR team wants us to know that everything that's happening right now, it's hurting Blake's feelings. And I don't know if you guys have paused to consider that Blake's feelings might be getting hurt in all of this. Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own—
If you're looking for the epitome of nepotism-fueled diva behavior, this situation apparently takes the crown. Blake has reportedly lived a charmed Hollywood life, cushioned by privilege, protected by PR teams, and shielded from facing real consequences. But now, that protective bubble appears to be bursting. The public isn't swooning over her romance with Ryan Reynolds anymore, or romanticizing their carefully curated love story, which reportedly holds its own Pandora's box of secrets. Instead, people are beginning to see past the glossy nepotism buffer to what may have been there all along.
Is causing her and Ryan Reynolds severe anguish. They are anguished by the things that they did being found out by the public. And that
this kind of behavior, according to observers, doesn't emerge from someone who hasn't been served life on a silver platter. Blake has allegedly grown accustomed to getting her way, and when things deviate from her plan, the complaints reportedly begin. While Candace may be speculating, many argue it's less of a wild guess and more of an educated assessment. The orchestration of this entire situation wasn't just coincidental. It was reportedly so meticulously crafted that, had they succeeded, Justin Baldoni's name, career, and reputation could have been completely destroyed.
I think that it was just a perfect act of evil that was almost executed in broad daylight, almost like a psychological—
Let's not pretend this would have been the first time Blake and Ryan allegedly pulled something like this. The pattern, according to critics, is glaringly obvious. They've apparently danced this tune before, playing the perfect couple in public while reportedly making ruthless moves behind the scenes. This isn't about a single misstep, it's about a pattern of behavior that's been hiding in plain sight, masked by their happy family persona. They've allegedly publicly targeted people before, but no one spoke up, supposedly because their PR PR machine was too powerful. But now the cracks are showing, and Candace Owens has shined a spotlight on all of it. Here's what Ryan reportedly said about Justin at the Deadpool Wolverine after party.
After party, Wayfarer was informed that Reynolds approached a senior executive at WME and expressed his deep disdain for Baldoni, going as far as to suggest that the agency is working with a predator.
This has Blake's fingerprints all over it, according to observers. While Ryan and Blake were allegedly orchestrating their usual maneuvers behind the scenes, Candace exposed that this time they may have gotten too bold, too desperate.
Now let's talk about Justin Baldoni's PR specialist, Jed Wallace. His firm, Street Relations Inc., is suing Blake Lively for defamation after she claimed Wallace and his company.
There's apparently no way around it. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are running out of options. The countdown has begun, and at this point, many say all that's left is to watch them get a taste of the humble pie they've allegedly been serving to others for years.
I can tell you that this is now the 5th lawsuit associated with Blake versus Baldoni, and we're exhausted by it. Now, based on Justin's recent release of documents, an expert I spoke to says Blake will fall.
This entire saga reportedly began when videos surfaced showing Blake Lively being less than kind to multiple people, interviewers, colleagues, and even fans. Instead of taking accountability, she allegedly did what many Hollywood elites do when cornered: flipped the script and manufactured a new narrative. Blake apparently needed a distraction, and unfortunately for Justin Baldoni, he became the perfect target. She allegedly accused him of orchestrating an elaborate PR campaign against her, throwing out wild allegations to shift focus away from her own behavior.
Original filing, which was with the Californian Civil Rights Department, that complaint was supposed to be the only filing. It was the ultimate bad PR response to what they wrongly assumed.
But this wasn't just another Hollywood feud. This was supposedly something far more damaging. People might have forgiven her alleged mean girl moments. They might have moved past those exposed clips, but fabricating accusations in a way that potentially undermines actual victims? This is something many aren't willing to overlook. They allegedly dragged Justin's name into this mess, not because he had anything to do with it, but because they reportedly needed someone to take the fall. And the worst part? This time they apparently did it in plain sight. The civil complaint was reportedly so exaggerated, so stretched out, but they thought no one would notice. But people did notice.
To be able to file that, take it to the New York Times, get them to take down Justin Baldoni, and who knows, like, it would have maybe been like, okay, we're gonna resolve this in the background now.
And now they're not just losing the PR battle, they're reportedly being sued for it. The situation has escalated even further amid Blake's legal battle with Baldoni. Crisis management expert Jed Wallace has officially sued her for defamation. Wallace, who owns PR firm Street Relations, filed a lawsuit in Texas federal court on February 4th, demanding $7 million in damages. Why? Because Blake allegedly dragged his name into her lawsuit against Baldoni, accusing him of fabricating social media content to make her look bad. But Wallace isn't playing by Hollywood rules. He's fighting back, demanding a court order to clear his name and prove he had nothing to do with the chaos Blake is trying to pin on him. For full context, here's what Blake reportedly said about Jed in her complaint.
Also retained subcontractors, including a Texas-based contractor named Jed Wallace, who weaponized a digital army around the country from New York to LA to create, seed, and promote content that appeared to be authentic on social media platforms and internet chat forums. The Baldoni Wayfarer team would then feed pieces of this manufactured.
So now Blake isn't just facing Baldoni, she's up against real legal consequences. And from the looks of it, she has no apparent escape route. But wait, when fans started calling Blake out on her non-serious approach with the civil complaint, she was reportedly forced to escalate things and file a full-blown lawsuit. Yet mysteriously, when she did, Jed Wallace's name was nowhere to be found. It was as if she had magically erased him from the narrative overnight, presumably hoping no one would notice, but the damage was allegedly already done. Her correction came too late. Wallace's entire reputation had reportedly been dragged through the mud, and now he's apparently determined to make her pay for it.
The lawsuit that she filed in New York 11 days later, and now all of a sudden you don't see Jed, okay? It was a pretty strong allegation you made about Jed in the CRD complaint. What happened in 11 days?
Wallace's current lawsuit stated that, as Lively later admitted, she knew of no facts to support the allegations against Wallace or Street. Neither Wallace nor Street had anything to do with the alleged retaliation, failure to investigate, or aiding and abetting the alleged harassment or retaliation. They couldn't have breached a contract with Lively because no such contract existed. Meanwhile, Blake's lawyer Michael Gottel wasted no time firing back at Wallace's lawsuit. In a statement to The Hollywood Reporter, he downplayed the entire situation, essentially brushing off Wallace's claims as baseless. Another day, another state, another 9-figure lawsuit seeking to sue Miss Lively into oblivion for speaking out, said Lively's legal team. But let's be real. If there was no truth to Wallace's case, why was Blake reportedly so quick to erase his name from her own lawsuit? It's giving desperate damage control vibes. Oh, so now it all makes sense. At first, people thought Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool scene was just another random joke, right? But thanks to Candace Owens pulling out the receipts, it turns out mocking Justin Baldoni wasn't just a joke, it was allegedly the whole mission.
She never said that.
No, but I bet she thought it.
You are so mean. My brain could taste your fingers and they tasted like hate. And where in God's name is the intimacy coordinate?
This wasn't apparently some off-the-cuff improvisation. It was allegedly calculated. Blake and Ryan have reportedly been working overtime behind the scenes to turn Justin into a joke, thinking they could do it right under everyone's noses. But let's talk about timing for a second. Why now? Just days ago, they were allegedly trying to gaslight everyone into thinking Justin Baldoni was the mastermind of a PR campaign against Blake, and suddenly Ryan's out here seemingly sneaking in jabs at him in a multi-million-dollar film? That's not looking like a coincidence to many. It's giving desperation, damage control, and we tried to ruin him quietly, but now that people are noticing, let's just mock him publicly instead. Energy.
There is one of the cut scenes that they said, okay, this one's not going to make it into the movie, but here it is.
I'd be fighting alongside them, but my calling is to one day host a podcast that monetizes the women's movement.
And here's the thing. Blake Lively couldn't apparently even say Justin's name once in her interviews, not a single acknowledgement. It's like she was doing the Hollywood version of, if we don't talk about him, maybe he'll disappear, while Justin is out there giving Blake her due credit and more.
I'm grateful to Colleen for trusting me, for writing such a beautiful book. I'm grateful to her mother for allowing it to happen, because really this was in honor of her mom. And I'm grateful to Blake for just being a powerhouse of a performer.
That right there, according to observers, is next-level bullying. They didn't just allegedly try to push him out of the way, they apparently tried to erase him completely.
Mocked in the credits of his own movie, that he was mocked mercilessly, endlessly in Deadpool and Wolverine by A-list actors getting involved there. We know that Justin's colleagues and fellow actors on the film were then all invited to the premiere of Deadpool and Wolverine. So they watched him.
And that's exactly why this whole thing is reportedly backfiring on them. Blake thought she could allegedly distract from her own mess by dragging Justin into a legal battle, but now the internet is picking apart every single move she and Ryan make, and they're apparently running out of places to hide. After everything that went down, Justin Baldoni still had the grace to say this about working with Blake Lively.
Of course, she's a genius. She was involved in every aspect of this production, and everything she touched, she made better.
So let's get this straight. Ryan and Blake allegedly played this whole game, pushing Justin Baldoni to the brink, reportedly threatening to stage a boycott unless he hid away in the basement like some Hollywood outcast.
Same day, Ryan Reynolds moved to release his promo for It Ends With Us, which featured his mother, Hugh Jackman, Brandon Sklenar, all mocking him.
And now that their alleged scheme has been exposed, they're suddenly begging for people to be respectful of their anguish. Many are calling it straight up delusional. And honestly, their real anguish isn't apparently about public scrutiny. No, it's reportedly about the fact that the dragon they've been using as a shield, aka Taylor Swift, has decided to forsake them. Yes, according to Candace, Taylor isn't here to save face for Blake anymore. Instead, she's allegedly in full damage control mode, working to turn her own public perception around. And what better way to do that than by apparently throwing Blake under the bus?
Apartment at the time that Blake told her to, not knowing anyone else would be there. In other words, Taylor had no idea there was a meeting going on with Justin.
Think about it. When you've already been painted as the villain, the easiest way to flip the narrative is to reportedly ensure there's an even bigger villain to take the fall, and who better than Blake Lively? But here's where it gets really interesting. Remember that whole Game of Thrones reference Blake allegedly made? She literally texted Justin after their meeting, reportedly calling herself Khaleesi and referring to Taylor and Ryan as her protective dragons.
Says Taylor believes Blake timed her meeting with Justin so Taylor would arrive before he left, and is baffled by Blake later characterizing her as her quote-unquote.
But Taylor Swift is now apparently realizing that Blake has been allegedly misusing their friendship for years. According to reports, Blake has been name-dropping Taylor left and right, even telling a young actress that Taylor personally cast her in a film. Spoiler alert, that never happened, and that young actress, Isabel Ferraria, did speak out about how she actually got the role.
Now, it's hurting Blake's feelings. And I don't know if you guys have paused to consider that Blake's feelings might be getting hurt in all of this. Well, if it isn't the consequences of my...
And after all that, TMZ sources are now hinting that Blake and Taylor have supposedly hugged it out. Yeah, okay, sounds more like a PR cleanup than a real friendship reconciliation to many observers. Taylor hasn't apparently really decided whether to drop Blake completely or keep pretending everything's fine. And in Hollywood, you always prep for the future. Leave it to Candace to catch these celebrities in yet another alleged deception. While Taylor is reportedly scrambling to separate herself from this mess, Candace's sources say she wasn't just a bystander. She was allegedly knee-deep in it before it even hit the media. The proof? Taylor's song was literally featured in Justin's movie before this entire disaster unfolded.
Her song was featured, and that at one point, to feature her song, she got somebody fired. That is the allegation that is made, and she's curiously not responding to that she didn't like Brian Tyler.
During a meeting at Blake's New York City penthouse, Ryan Reynolds and a mystery mega celebrity friend, which many believe is obviously Taylor Swift, reportedly praised Blake's version of a key scene in the script. So before this whole scandal erupted, Taylor was apparently right there, involved in discussion.
And we do also know that she's not being truthful about what happened later. As the meeting was ending, him and Taylor Swift are agreeing here, a famous and famously close friend of Reynolds and Lively walked into the room and similarly began praising Lively's script.
Justin's own message backed up Baldoni's story.
Happened. I didn't need that to happen. I thought that you were fine already. And if Taylor had said absolutely nothing to him, then she would have responded and said, "What are you talking about?" She was just coming into the house.
So why is Blake allegedly the one panicking if Taylor is the one reportedly shifting blame? Well, who do you think supposedly put Blake in A-list star status in the first place? If Taylor's name got bad press, Blake would reportedly be dropped so fast she wouldn't even have time to blink. And that's exactly why, even after Taylor allegedly pinned everything on Blake, Blake didn't dare make a single sound. But now let's talk about why Taylor is reportedly being less than truthful, because this isn't just about reputation, it's about legal implications.
Not want to get deposed, okay? A deposition, legal deposition, is not a song. It is not an album. You don't get to drop Taylor's version of events. You are under oath and you will be compelled.
See, Justin's lawyer, Brian Friedman, has already hinted that nothing is off the table. If Taylor was deeply involved in this mess, the legal fallout could be way bigger than she ever anticipated, and now the same person who was allegedly acting as Blake's protector might just be her biggest liability.
The potential to humiliate Taylor. Okay, she has carefully woven her brand as a nice girl, as a victim.
And let's not forget, Taylor has reportedly known for years that Blake's bold behavior was a ticking time bomb. Insiders claim she tried to tone Blake down, but Blake just wouldn't listen. The real reason they bonded when they first met 10 years ago, Taylor supposedly saw her doppelganger in Blake. The main difference? Taylor is reportedly more subtle. Blake has always gone full throttle about everything. Fast forward to today, and the Gossip Girl alum is in the middle of a massive legal war with Justin Baldoni. Now, Baldoni isn't just fighting back, he's reportedly countersuing Blake and Ryan for a staggering $400 million, and he's allegedly dragging Taylor into it. Because as much as Taylor apparently wants to wash her hands of this mess, the truth is she wasn't just in the room, she was allegedly actively trying to control the narrative. Blake Lively wanted to play the victim, but Candace Owens just flipped the script and now she's reportedly scared. With Taylor Swift allegedly backing away and lawsuits piling up, it looks like Blake and Ryan are running out of moves. But the real question is, how much worse can this get? Because at this point, it's looking like the beginning of the end. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is Blake finally getting what she deserves, or will she find a way to spin this in her favor? And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications because this saga is far from over. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Miss what's coming next. Miss what's...